Now, the next thing that we have today, the topic that we have is navigating GoldenGate. First thing what we have learned earlier was how to configure the replication. We have configured a very simple basic replication, right? So in the basic replication, what all we have seen, how to configure the extract, data pump, and Replicat. Also, we have some GoldenGate learnings. What are those learnings? Every process needs to have three things defined. What is the source, or what is the input, what is the output, and the parameter file, right? So defining all these things, we were able to configure our replication. Perfect, everything is fine. But how do I navigate the GoldenGate? How do I find out the alert log? How do I find out the information about the processes? How do I find out where, what, and how things are working inside GoldenGate? So navigating GoldenGate is very important. Even this will be very handy for you guys when you are in real-time environment, because it will actually help you to debug the issues. Now, what all replication that we have done, for the same replication, we will actually navigate the entire GoldenGate. And in this session, we'll be learning about the different process status. We'll be learning about how to view the stats of the replication. We'll also learn about GoldenGate alert log. We'll learn about every process alert log. We'll learn about how to find the details about the processes. We'll also learn about the source trails. We'll learn about target trails. We'll also learn about, you know, how to uh, how to debug a lot of issues. So many things you will learn in this one. And again, one more thing I'm saying, there are a lot of information commands. Okay, so we will be going through these slides, and then few of them definitely I'll show you practically, but most of them I would request you to do or practice as your assignment, because that is your next assignment. All the commands that we are having in this slide, the most important ones I'll walk you through. The others I would request you to just practice in your assignment. Okay, so let us start with the GoldenGate navigation. So the first thing that we have is GoldenGate processes status. Now, what are the different types of status that we have in GoldenGate? The first one is starting. If you remember, when we were trying to start any process, the extract takes little time to start. And when you start the extract process, the status will show as starting, and then it will go into running mode. So what is starting mode? Actually, it is kind of like, the process is being started, or the OS level process is being started for the extract. It is reading the checkpoint file. Okay, what is a checkpoint file? We'll come to it in some time. All right. So it will read a checkpoint file which will define till where the work is done, and then it will start the process. So it takes little time, and the status will be starting. Every process can go through all these four status only. Okay, so a process which is starting, it means it is now being allocated, or the memory is being allocated. Then comes the running. Running means simple that process is active and now it is ready to function. Now when extract becomes running status, or extract comes to running status, it means that it is ready to capture data from the database. When the pump process comes to running state, it means that it is ready to push the data from the source to target. When the Replicat comes to running status, it simply means that it is ready to read from the target trail files and apply to the target database. Perfect. The stopped simply means that you have stopped the process normally. Okay, sometimes when you bounce the server also, you will see it as stopped. And there is one more, abandoned. Remember yesterday we have seen the status for the data pump. What happens is, if there is an issue, or if the process is terminated by the GoldenGate, or because of some issue, there might be network issue, there might be server issue, or any other issue, it is not able to find the source, or it is not able to find the target, or there is issue with the parameter file. There are a lot of issues. So because of these issues, the process, sometimes when you try to start, after starting status, it will be moved into abandoned. That means first the process starting happened. That means GoldenGate tried to start the process, but because of some issue, the process is now abandoned. So starting, your process can go from starting to running or starting to abandoned. Okay, and if it is running fine, then you can also stop it. And sometimes while running, let's take there is some network issue or the target goes down, then also it goes to abandoned state. Now when you practice or work with GoldenGate, you will definitely see all these status. Okay, so these are the 4 GoldenGate process status that we have. Now the next one and the most important part over here is GoldenGate directory structure. Remember when we installed GoldenGate, after that we ran one command. What was that command? Create sub-dirs. And few of these directories were created, correct? Now, and these are the directories which gets created inside the GoldenGate home, like your GG home and where you have GGSCI, right? The same prompt, same directories will be created. Now these directories have a proper naming convention, dir. Okay, dir is nothing but directory, and then the next 3 letters will actually define what directory it is. If you read the directory name, you must get the use of it, or what is this directory about. Like the first one, dirprm, nothing but prm is short form for parameter. So parameter files, whenever we create these parameter files, they are created inside the dirprm. So now I actually need the VMs. So let me start the VMs. Okay,
Hey
so
Arun, this is Nikhil.
yeah, Nikhil, tell me.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption. I have a
No
question.
problem. Mhm.
Uh, we used to connect to database from the GGSI prompt using DB login user ID password, correct?
Correct, yes. Mhm.
So I mean, if there are multiple databases running on the same server, how we are going to connect that?
Okay, you answer me this question. If there are multiple databases, how will you connect via SQL Plus?
With the help of the alias, TNS alias.
Yeah, the same thing you can use in this one also. And you know
Okay,
what?
I mean, we used to use the same.
You will have to use the same. And this was actually one of your assignments for next week.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so VMs are starting. So let me connect to the first VM. Guys, meanwhile, I connect to the VMs. Can everybody type in the chat like what is the status of your VMs? Were you able to configure or not? Okay. Because I'm assuming everybody is able to configure the VMs and everybody is with me on the topics that we are learning. So meanwhile, I'll start the databases. Okay, so we have one question. Can we use VMware instead of VirtualBox? Yeah, you can use it. But depends if you are good with VirtualBox, I mean VMware, then go ahead. Okay, okay, great. I see many of you are following with me. Okay guys, so our database is up and running on both the servers. So what I'll do is right now, let us navigate these directories one by one so that you guys will understand how they work. So first of all, let us get inside the gg underscore home. Over here, if I just type ls-lrt, can you see dirchk, dirdat, dirrpt, dirtmp? Likewise, there are many directories, okay? Not the ones which are listed over here. There are even more directories in the GoldenGate home, but these are the most important which you should know as a GoldenGate DBA. These are the directories you should know what they do, what is the impact of these directories, and what will happen if you don't follow or don't handle these directories properly. Like in our Oracle, we have DBS location, we have network admin location. So we know the importance of those directories, right? Same way in GoldenGate also these are the most important directories. First one is dirprm. This is the parameter file directory. Let me just get into this directory, dirprm. Now, can you see yesterday we configured a lot of parameter files, or we configured parameters for manager, extract, pump, and Replicat. And also, if you see, we configured two replications. We configured ext1 for tab 1 and we configured ext2 for tab 2. Perfect. Now, all those parameter files reside in this location. Now there are two ways to create and edit those parameter files. Either you edit from GoldenGate prompt, or you can use VI editor over here also, like VI ext1.param, and you can again edit this file over here as well. But again, I would encourage you to always use GoldenGate prompt. I mean, you can do it, but it's good to follow these standards. Okay, the same way, if you delete this parameter file from here, you won't be able to start the particular process. So make sure the parameter file, the name of the parameter file is your process name.prm. Now, if I try example, let us do an exercise, okay? What I'll do is I'll actually disturb this parameter file. I'll move this parameter file to, okay, I have moved this parameter file. Now let us go back to ggSCI and I'll try to log into the database. Perfect. Now, first I will start the manager process. So let us start the manager, start mgr. Do not worry about the abandoned state. That might be because I might have abruptly closed the VMs after the last session. Okay, it happens. And info all, we can see manager is running. Let me try to start the extract too. But what we have done, we have modified the name of the extract, right? I mean, the parameter file name has been changed. So start ext2. Can you see? Error. Parameter file ext2.prm does not exist. So where GoldenGate is reading this parameter file, it is reading under dirprm. This is GoldenGate home, right? And then dirprm. And ext2 is the process name. .prm is the parameter file. The same, what I can do is if I exit, go to dirprm. Let me try to move this parameter file. Okay. And now let us try to start the process. Start ext2. Now can you see we are not getting any error for starting this process. So this is the importance of the current directory dirprm, and now we can see that ext2 is running fine. Okay, so all your parameter files, not really on the source, even on the target, your parameter file for your manager and Replicat will reside under this directory. Let us go to gg_home cd dirprm ls-lrt. Now can you see we have manager, Replicat 1 and Replicat 2. Yesterday we configured these parameter files, right? So the first and the most important directory in GoldenGate is dirprm because it holds the parameter files. Okay, so do we have anything in the chat? No. The next one is report files. Okay, guys, this report files, to be very frank, I don't know, it is called as report, but I personally like to call it as process alerts or process alert log. Once again, see, if your extract is having an issue or extract process encounters an issue, then you will view the extract process alert log. Or your pump process is having some issue, you will view the pump process alert log. So the same thing goes with the reports. The name is different, but it actually, I mean, these reports are nothing but the process related alert logs. Remember yesterday we had an issue with the data pump process. Then we were viewing some report, view report command. Okay, in which was in the next slide we have that command again. So these report files, dirrpt, the name itself will tell you that it is report file or the directory which contains the report files. Okay, so dirrpt will have all the report files for your processes or for all the processes, and then it will give you the alert log of that particular process. Let us see these report files. Let me exit. Let us go to dirrpt. Okay, now you might say, why are we having so many report files? Okay, there is one more file. This is DSC. I'll talk about it in some time. Don't worry. Or actually, we can talk it right now. See, when there is a replication going on, there might be a case some rows are rejected, or there might be a case some rows did not get replicated onto the target. It happens, right? I'll give you one example. If you guys have worked on SQL loader, you remember, if there is a condition you specify in SQL loader, it will not really, it will not load it will load all the rows which will satisfy the condition, and other rows will be rejected. So those rejected rows are always kept into a new file called as discard file, or a file which does not meet a condition. The same thing in GoldenGate. In case some rows are rejected, okay, some rows are rejected, then those rows will be kept into this discard file, right? So this DSC file, let's take your extract process was trying to extract some rows, and some rows do not meet some condition, then those rows will be kept into this discard file. Okay, so that is the discard file. And the RPT is nothing but your report file or process specific alert log. I know nowhere it is written like that, but that is how I like to call it, because it becomes more easy. Now you might also say that why are we seeing so many report files like ext20 and then other files? Let me do it this way. Ext star. Okay, can you see we have ext1, ext1.rpt, ext2.rpt, and ext20.rpt, right? So these report files gets created whenever you bounce the processes. So whenever there is a process bounce, or whenever there is so these report files gets created whenever you bounce the processes. And also in the further slide we have a separate session where we'll be understanding how to manage these report files. Okay, so first of all, right now only we are understanding that this location dirrpt will contain the report files. Now the issue, if you check the report from here, is you might sometimes query the old report, might happen. So that's why it is always advisable, whenever you are viewing the reports, always view it via GoldenGate prompt. Do not view the report from this directory, because this directory contains the rolled over reports as well. Okay, now over here you can see that ext2.rpt is the latest one, and before this is ext20. Okay, this is the older one. A new report is generated. Again, the report name would remain same, but this one will become ext20 and this one will become ext21. That is how the reverse numbering will continue. Okay, so we have a separate session where we'll be administering these report files, don't worry. But for now, as I mentioned, do not check the report file from here, because you might by mistake check the old report file. If you want to check the latest report file, always go with process name.rpt. Okay, that's the latest one. Now I can show you one more example over here. ls-lrt mgr star. Now can you see how the reports are being rolled up? This is the latest one, mgr.rpt. mgr0 is 0.rpt is the earlier one. Before that, mgr1.rpt, and then mgr2.rpt. Likewise, the reports will be rolled up in a reverse order, but the latest one would be process name.rpt in case you are checking the reports from this directory manually. But as I mentioned earlier, I don't encourage this one. What I would rather say is you must check the reports via the GoldenGate prompt. How? Let us get into the GoldenGate. Now, can you see ext2 is running? I want to check the report for ext2. So view report, the process name. This will actually get me the same report file from the reports directory. The latest report file will be published over here. This is kind of an alert log of the extract process. So whatever has happened in the alert log, you can see rolling over remote file or remote file. This is the remote file that it is rolling over to. And then you will also see recovery completed for target file, this one, because I abruptly shut down the VMs last evening. So that's why there might be some recovery inside the GoldenGate where it tried to recover the transactions. And generally, if you ask me, you don't need to read all this. The last line is the most important one, recovery completed for all targets. That means it is running fine. Okay, all the errors, whenever there is an error, you can simply come down to this last line before this runtime message, and this area will give you the main error in the process, if any. Like yesterday, we had an error with data pump, right? And I was quickly able to find the error. So if you look at the last line in the alert log or the report file, you will understand what the error is. In this case, we can say that it is running perfectly fine. You can even check info all. You can see ext2 is running perfectly fine. So the first directory, the most important one is parameter file dirprm. Second one is dirrpt. The third one is dirchk, checkpoint files. Okay, what are these checkpoint files? And a lot of people are having confusion in checkpoints. I don't know why people get confused in checkpoints. It is so simple thing. Understand you're reading a book and you completed 10 pages. So you put a tag over there. It's a checkpoint. Simple as that. Okay. Checkpoint defines the amount of work that is done. That's the simplest definition I can give you guys. Checkpoint defines the amount of book you have read, or a tag defines the amount of book you have read. Okay. The same way you can take more examples, like your speedometers define the distance you have traveled. So that becomes a checkpoint. So your speedometer is kind of a checkpoint which gives you the reading. Okay, you have completed so many kilometers. The same way in database also, you have checkpoints. You are doing some work. The database is trying to modify millions of rows. But how do I define how much work has been done? So what I do is at every time a quantifiable work is done, then I issue a checkpoint. That might be my understanding. For example, when we talk about speedometer, we define kilometers, right? So kilometer is like my checkpoint. The same way in database has its own checkpoint numbers, which are again incremental numbers. So every time it does a quantifiable number of work, it will issue a new checkpoint, and that checkpoint defines, or that checkpoint becomes a reference that, okay, this much work has been done. Okay, a lot about database. Let's come to GoldenGate. In GoldenGate also, let's take, we'll take yesterday's example. Yesterday, somebody crashed the extract process. We are just assuming somebody crashed the extract process. And after crashing, the GoldenGate was not working fine. Suddenly today, the application team comes and says that, hey, you know what? The replication is not working. Can you look into it? Now, today when we start, we debug the issues, we found that, okay, extract is down. So today when we start the extract process, do you think it should start replicating immediately from the time when I started, or it should start replicating from the time when it was stopped? Ultimately, that should be the case, right? The second one. Because if it was stopped at yesterday night 10 p.m., or something happened to extract process and it was not working. So from 10 p.m., whatever transactions have been done in the source, I need all those transactions, right? So GoldenGate itself has its own checkpoints. Okay, it has its own checkpoints, and extract will have its own checkpoint saying that, okay, I am done replicating or extracting so many transactions out of the database. Okay, let us assume there are 10 transactions inside the database. So the extract extracted 5 transactions, and then there was abrupt shutdown. We are just assuming. Now the extract will have its own checkpoint. Let's take the checkpoint number is 1001, 1001. So the checkpoint says that 1001, 5 records have been fetched, but 5 are still remaining, right? So today when I start the extract process, the checkpoint says that, okay, 5 records were done in the 5 records were read. Now it has to start from the 6th record. This is what the checkpoint does. It serves as the purpose of reference as to from where to start the work again. Okay, so let me give you one more example just to clarify this one, so it will be easy for you guys. Okay, let us assume we are not dealing with GoldenGate, we are dealing with humans. Okay, we are dealing with humans, and while we are dealing with humans, you have allocated people to perform the extract, pump, and Replicat. Okay, we are taking in a very insane example because this will never happen, but we are still trying to take this example. This guy job is to extract the data, and the other guy is to send the data, and then we have another guy to replicate the data onto the target DB. Okay, now you tell me, you as a manager, end of the day, their shift has been ended. This guy captures the data, pushes it into the source trail files, and the job of this guy is to read from this file, push it onto the target server, target trails. Okay, and this guy will read from these files and replicate it onto the target server. Now 6 p.m. their shift has been ended. As a manager, won't you ask how much work has been done? Won't you ask them? Of course you will ask. Then there should be a mechanism, right? So this guy must say that, okay, I have captured all the transaction till 4 p.m. I'm done with my job. This guy must say that, okay, all the transactions that were captured by extract, I have sent those transactions. That means these two guys have done their job properly. But this guy, he says that, okay, I was busy with some other work, but I have replicated only the transaction until 3:30. The rest 30 minutes transactions, I will replicate it tomorrow. A very insane example, but just something. We need a way to account the work, or we need a way to account how much work has been done. This is where the checkpoints will come. This data which is reported by your employees, this is nothing but checkpoints. That means how much work has been done. Now let us get into a real world example. What happens with the checkpoints? See, inside database, let us assume these are redo transactions. Okay, so you have extract process. Extract will start extracting these data from the database. Okay, now this much data has been done. So what extract will do, it will issue a checkpoint number. Let's take for the first extraction, it has given 1001, second one 1002, likewise 1003, 1004. This is the current checkpoint number. So 1004 defines that this much work has been done, and you shut down the extract process. So what happens when you start the extract process, maybe tomorrow or after 2 days or after 3 days? The extract should continue from this point only. So extract will continue to extract the transactions that have happened after this checkpoint number and continue to issue new checkpoints number. That means that much work has been done. Okay. The same way, okay, if I get more into the checkpoints, it will be a trouble because there are checkpoints on both the ends. The checkpoint on the reading end and also checkpoint on the how much has been written. Because let's take 1004 has been read, but on the writing end, the current checkpoint number is 1002. That means still two transactions are about to come. Okay, so it also has a checkpoint on the writing end also. The same thing goes with data pump. Now, these checkpoint numbers are separate for separate processes. Don't combine them. Every process has, because see, every employee had its own accountability, right? Because they have their own work. The same way, every process will have its own checkpoint number because they are accountable for their work. Now, data pump has different series number. Data pump says that I have pushed, these are the trail files, and this much data has been pushed. And we are assuming data pump checkpoint series is something 20,002. Okay, so till 20,002, the data has been pushed onto the target server. So the data pump will deal with a unique sequence number where it will define how much work has been done. And there is one more transaction. When the data pump pushes this new transaction, then it will issue one more new checkpoint number. So that way, it is a mechanism for the processes to understand, okay, this much work has been done. All right. The same thing goes with the Replicat. Replicat will have its own checkpoint series to read from the target trail files. Let us assume we have two checkpoints which are issued 7001 and 7002. Now, when these new transactions are replicated onto the target, 7003 and 7004 will be issued. That means this much work or this much amount of work is replicated onto the target server. Very complex, but I tried to make it simple for you guys. So it's kind of a tag. Once again, whenever you feel confused about checkpoint, think it's like a tag in a book. Okay, how much book have you read? You just open the tag and you can say this much book I have read. The same thing goes with the processes inside database, and when you are working with transactions, one of the best thing that you can use as a tag is numbers, right? Okay, guys, anything, any doubt in this one? Okay, if your doubt is very complex, then it will be a challenge. Okay, so nothing, then I'll proceed further. So as I mentioned, GoldenGate has its own checkpoint files. So GoldenGate will maintain its own checkpoint files in a directory called as dirchk. Guys, remember, this is a very important interview question over here because I have asked it many times to people and they failed to answer this one. When I ask them like, how GoldenGate maintains the checkpoints, they say that it's an internal thing. Okay, of course it's an internal thing, but we do have a directory which maintains the checkpoint files. Let me show you these files. dirchk. Now can you see these are the checkpoint files? So every process will have its own checkpoint files. Okay, don't mess up with these files because if you delete these files, if you delete these checkpoint files, your processes will go in abandoned state. Why? Because they don't know from where to start the work. Correct? So that's why don't delete these files. I mean, in your practice, you can try, but in real time, don't even think of doing this. Your GoldenGate will completely mess up. Okay, and these files are binary. I mean, you can't even cat them. Even if you try to, you won't be able to see any data into it. So these are binary files which are read by GoldenGate itself. Okay, don't try to mess up with these files because if checkpoint information is lost, your processes will forget how much work has been done. So don't do it. Now again, we have another very important directory that is known as dirpcs. Nothing but process status files. So I will summarize or I will answer any reference relation between, okay guys, I mean, to be very frank, it is now becoming very tough to explain you checkpoints. See, as I mentioned, multiple employees will have their own accountability, right? So every process will have its own checkpoint number, and that's the same example I gave you guys. The series is different over here. You can see they are not dependent on each other. They are just independent. Okay, data pump is bothered about reading from source trail, pushing the data onto the target. Simple as that. Why you guys are complicating it by mixing data pump checkpoint with extract checkpoint or extract checkpoint with Replicat? It is just the amount of work that those processes are doing. The checkpoint has to deal with only that particular process. The numbers might be different. The see, okay, one more thing. When you are working with two databases, do you think the SCN number is same? No, right? Even though you create the databases on the same date, it will never be same. But databases are working fine, right? So the same thing goes with over here. Every process will have its own checkpoint series. And that is the reason I gave the example with a different series number over here. With this one only, you can understand that there is no relation between one checkpoint series with the other. So it has to do with the particular process, and the particular process will deal with amount of work it has done. Okay, I'm done. No more things on checkpoints. Right. So dirpcs. Now the process status, see, when you start a process, so how does GoldenGate knows that process is running or stop? There should be a way, right? So this directory, dirpcs, it actually contains the process information or the process details about the processes which are running. I'll show you an example. So info all. Okay. Now very carefully look at the processes which are running. We see that manager is running and ext2 is running. Only two processes are running, right? I'll exit. We'll go to dirpcs ls-lrt. Now what do you see? mgr.pcm, that is the manager process, and ext2.pce, that's the extract process. Now what happens when you actually start a GoldenGate process? It actually creates a file inside this location, and only the process which is running, that file only you can see it over here. Okay, you cannot see any other process like the other processes. You can see these are abandoned or stopped. So those files are not there over there because we did not start that process. Whenever you start a process or the process which is running, that process file will be created over here. So let us see an example. We'll try to stop the extract process, and then we'll check whether ext2.pc is removed from this location or not. Makes sense, right? /ggsci info all stop ext2. Okay, so once again info all. It takes little time to stop the extracts. It won't stop immediately. Okay, now it is stopped. cd dirpcs. Can you see ext2 is removed from there? So this location actually maintains the process file details. I mean, it's internal to GoldenGate again. GoldenGate will create a process file, and all the running processes will have their own process file over here. So again, very important directory. This will have all the processes. Next one is simple dirdat. We already know about this one. It stores the trail files. So all the trail files generally you must keep in dirdat, but as I mentioned in the last session, in case there are ways to even distribute the trail files onto different mount points. In real time, not really everybody uses dirdat in case until the replication files are small. So in a very big environment, you will see that people are distributing the trail files to different mount points also. It depends. So for simplification, we are assuming that dirdat is the location where we store the trail files. Next, dirtmp is the temporary files. Whenever GoldenGate needs to create some temporary files, it will create them over there and then remove them from there. The last one, We will be using it later on in this course. It is known as dir-def. That is nothing but database definitions file. So to keep it very small and short, when your source and target tables are not of same structure, I repeat, when your source and target tables are not of same structure, then you need the source table definition or the structure of the source table. So that definition file you will keep in this directory. If you look at the replication that we have done, what we have done replication for the same structure table. Remember the two replications that we have seen, the table structure is same. We did not alter the table structure. But what if the table structure is different and I want to perform a replication? Then I need the source table definition or source table structure. So GoldenGate will create a definition file for you, and then we need to copy that definition file from source to target. So more on this definition file when we are working with the, what do you call, when we are working with the different structure replication. Okay. Yes, guys, any doubts, anything you have? Okay. So all looks fine.